warrant shows that it has been properly served. I'm pleased to be here again as your moderator, and this time on my own 2 feet. For those who were here at the special last year, I had to sit down for the whole meeting. And I heard a couple of little snide comments, but I was sitting down in the job and all those kinds of things. But when anybody else went home that night and put on their PJs, I was in an ambulance on my way to ICU at Mass General. And I knew that's where I was going to end up that night. But town meeting was important to me. And I wanted to make sure that town meeting came first. One of the EMTs that came to the house looked at me and he said, "Weren't you just at town meeting?" I said, "Yes, I was." So for those of you that are here for the first time at town meeting, welcome. I see many familiar faces. This seems to be a meeting that we have lots and lots of familiar faces. So you're the standards of the town. You're the ones that come every single year, annual town meeting, special town meeting, and you know the ins and outs of what is going on. The purpose of town meeting is for the voters to approve or disapprove monies allocated to the town departments necessary for their operation, to take care of you, your roads, your children. My role in tonight's meeting is to maintain order and handle the running of the meeting, to make sure that we take care of the business that helps the town run. It's my responsibility to make sure that anyone that wishes to be heard is heard. And I expect all speakers to maintain civility and decorum. Now, we do have a couple of exits. We have one on each side here. This is where I feel like I'm in an airplane. And we have one in the back. So I need to tell you that for safety reasons. To lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance for the last time as selectmen, we're going to have David Circus, please.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our invitation this evening, and I sent him an email that didn't get to the pad. Mr. Dawes, can you handle it off the top of your head? Okay, is that better? Yes. Mr. Dawes is going to lead us in our invitation.
Well, Almighty Father, Creator of all things, we come before you this evening to thank you for your blessings in our community. Tonight, we are gathered together as a community to discuss and vote on the next fiscal year's budget. Lord, we ask for wisdom, discernment, and focus in our conversations and votes. As always, each of us who has prayed this evening pray to you in the manner in which we were each taught. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Now we have a rather large staff here tonight. We have lots of tellers outside. We have Kathy and Bob Sachs, Sue and Scott Daigle, Joe Bouchard, Sandra Brock, Star Anderson, and Barb Hunt. They have been the tellers that were checking you in, and they will be coming into the room so that they can vote. They will be taking turns kind of making sure that they get the late voters. Now we do have a non-voting seating area over here on the front left from where you are sitting. And I have a list of those that are in that seated area so that we know who is here. We do have a few people that will be sitting with their departments, and we know where they are as well. Unless there is an objection, I will allow non-voters to speak if I think it is necessary to the article of the warrant. Voting members on stage, are David Surface, Gary Fowler, kind of wave when I say your name so they get to know which selectman is which, Doug Dawes, Joseph Bonavita, and Stephen Sadler. Our town clerk for the very last town meeting is Jan McCrane. We're going to have to break in a new one for next town meeting. And her assistant, Kathy Roach. Non-voters on the stage are Town Administrator Mike Farrell, Tom McEnany, our Town Council. Finance Committee, sitting down towards the front, are Ed Doby, Wayne Snow, Robin Olson, and Matt Newhall. And Eric Burton. Oh, he is here. Good. Many of the other boards and departments are also seated towards the front of our audience area so that they can come and answer questions easily as they come up. We have some complimentary resolutions today. We're talking about Jan McCrane and we're talking about David Surface. So who's going to come first and who's going to do the awards? Sure.
So first and foremost, I have to apologize for being so casual. I just got off a plane, so I apologize for that. But I wanted to come up and honor two individuals who really are very deserving. Since my time serving on a couple of boards, I have found that it is very difficult to find folks that will give up their time, from family, from work, to volunteer for the town to make it, a better town. So I'm very honored to actually be able to recognize these two individuals for many, many years of dedication, from volunteering their time, again, away from family, away from friends, events, things of that nature. And I'm very proud, to say that, they did a wonderful job, while they were, in service for the town. So first I'd like to recognize Janice McGrain. This certificate of appreciation, may it be known that this certificate is hereby presented to Janice McGrain, Town Clerk, for serving the town for 28 years. 20 years as... 20 years as our town clerk, and 8 years as administrative assistant/assistant town clerk, and for her time as the highway administrative assistant. This certificate of appreciation is presented May 7th, 2018 by the Board of Selectmen of the town of Georgetown. We want to congratulate you, and we wish you the best in moving forward. Okay. And this gentleman has been certainly a mentor to me. He's been, I think, a mentor to a lot of folks at Town Hall and within the town. But I'd like to recognize Mr. Surface, whereas C. David Surface, a resident of the town of Georgetown since 2006, and whereas he has served 9 years, a total of 3 terms as a selectman for the town of Georgetown, and whereas through his dedication to the town of Georgetown, he has also served on the Finance and Advisory Board, the School Building Committee, and the Affordable Housing Trust. And whereas he is a member of the Georgetown AF and AM Charles C. Dane Lodge, and whereas the town of Georgetown is extremely grateful to C. David Surface for his dedicated service to the town. Now, therefore, we, Joseph Bonavita, Gary C. Fowler, Douglas W. Dawes, and Stephen Sadler, selectmen of the town of Georgetown, do hereby call upon all citizens to honor C. David Surface, who has worked so hard to realize such great achievements. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands in cause to be affixed the official seal of the town of Georgetown this 7th day of May, 2018. David, thank you very much for your service. We wish you the best.
Congratulations to both of you. We have so many people in Georgetown that have given years and years and years of their lives to the town of Georgetown in one way or another. The procedure of the meeting will be, I will call for the warrant article. I will then recognize a sponsor for the motion. Once the motion is made, I will wait for someone to second the motion. Each motion must have a second before any discussion. Then I'll ask for reports from the appropriate boards. Then we will open the floor for discussion. If you have a question or you would like to make a comment on the motion, please come to the microphones as soon as the motion and second are made. You need to speak directly into the microphone. If you try and talk sideways, you'll say nobody's going to hear you. So you must state your name and address so that Jan and Kathy can get the information for their records. Please direct your comments and questions to me, and I will then find someone who can answer the question or comment in an appropriate manner. Under Mass Laws, under General Laws 39, Section 15, I have the prerogative of deciding all questions of order, and relying on that, I can make rulings as issues of order come up. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt a rule of this meeting, a 5-minute speech limit during the discussion period of each article. Do I hear such a motion?
So moved.
Name, please.
Joseph Susi, 286 Central Street.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
And who is that?
Wayne.
Wayne Snow. Is there any discussion on that? This requires a 2/3 vote according to town meeting time, page 101. Please get out your little voting papers. All in favor? Opposed? It was not unanimous, but it does pass. As you see, we have 2 town meetings before us. We have a special town meeting, which has been called to take care of the business for fiscal year 2018. And then we have another warrant which will take care of the future of 2019. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the annual town meeting, which will reconvene immediately after the special meeting?
So moved, Madam Moderator. Harry Lockley.
Harry Locatilia.
Seconded.
Seconded, Wayne Snow. Discussion. Okay. All in favor of doing, again, voting slips. I have to move away from the light, otherwise I get a reflection. Opposed? I hereby call to order the special town meeting. Article 1. There is no motion on Article 1, so it is considered passed over. Article 2. Appropriation of free cash for the snow and ice deficit.
Wayne Snow, Mayor, remove the town transfer from free cash to sum of $284,922.29 to be applied to the FY 2018 snow and ice deficit.
Can I have a report from the Finance and Advisory Board? Yes, I need a second on that.
Couldn't hear that.
Can you get closer to the microphone? Is it on?
Hi. Hello?
Yep.
Good, there we go. Try again. I move the town transfer from free cash the sum of $284,922.29 to be applied to the FY 2018 snow and ice deficit.
29 cents deficit.
Second.
I have a second from David Circus. Is there any discussion? We had a lot of snow and ice this March. January and February weren't too bad, but March was a killer. This requires a majority. Who's up there? Would you like to give a Finance and Advisory Board recommendation, seeing as you already made the motion?
I was waiting for instruction. It was 5-0 in favor of recommending the article.
Thank you. Now, this requires a majority. All in favor? Opposed? Nobody likes that ice and snow. That passes with a majority. Article 3 on the special town meeting. Security upgrades for schools.
I move the town transfer from the capital stabilization fund the sum of $88,846 to purchase, design, and install the security upgrades for the Pearlie, Pembroke, and Middle High School.
Do I hear a second?
Second, Adobe.
Adobe, second. I need a report from the Finance and Advisory Board.
It's 5-0 in favor of recommendation.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Would you like to explain exactly what this is going to be used for? It says security upgrades. What kind of upgrades?
Not me. The gentleman over there will stand up and explain. John Cutler will explain.
Chief Cudmore. You didn't think you were going to get to sit long, did you?
John Cudmore, 169 R. Nelson Street, Police Chief.
Mike Anderson, anniversary, building and grounds of the school department.
As a result of the recent events across the country, we took and examined all 3 of our school buildings, and in conjunction with the school department, determined that we're deficit in several areas, especially at the high school. So we've taken the task of putting together a plan to improve our schools for the safety of the kids and staff.
Okay, thank you. Now, this requires a 2/3 vote because it's coming from the Capital Stabilization Fund. So all in favor? Opposed? It is not unanimous, but it does carry a 2/3 vote. With this business completed, I will accept a motion to dissolve the special town meeting.
So moved, Madam Moderator, Harry Locke.
Thank you, Harry. A second? Wayne Snow. Any discussion to dissolve the meeting? Vote is required as a majority. All in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous. That meeting is dissolved. I hereby reconvene our annual town meeting. Question number 1. Shall the town of Georgetown be allowed to assess an additional $108,000? So this is, question number 1 is a question that's on the ballot. We are not going to discuss it. This will appear on the ballot next Monday, May 14th. The discussion will be held when we get to Article 3 on this warrant. Article 1, Town Officers and Committee Reports. Do we have any town officers and committee reports? So we go directly to Article 2, General Operating Budget Reserve Fund.
Good evening, Madam Moderator. Move that the town raise and appropriate the sum of $29,517,253, appropriate by transfer from the Water Department Enterprise Fund the sum of $271,147, transfer from the Septic Betterment the sum of $21,060, transfer from the Community Preservation Reserve for debt service the sum of $193,700, and transfer to transfer from free cash the sum of $80,000 for a total appropriation of $30,083,160 to defray charges and expenses of the town for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018, including support of the town's public schools, Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School, and Essex North Shore Agricultural and Technical School, to fix salaries of the several elected officers of the town, and to provide for reserve fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018, in accordance with the line items and Finance Committee and Advisory Board's report to the May 7th, 2018 annual town meeting.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second, Madam Moderator.
Harry Cotillion. Discussion. I need a report from the Finance and Advisory Board first, please.
Madam Moderator, the Finance and Advisory Committee votes to recommend 5-0.
Thank you. Discussion. We're spending over $30 million and nobody wants to say anything? Wait till we try and spend $23,000 or something, then we'll be in discussion. No discussion, okay. The vote required is majority. All in favor? Opposed? I see that as a unanimous vote.
No, it is my moderator. I'm holding out my big slip for now.
Okay, then it's not unanimous, but it does pass. Okay. Article 3. Who would like to read the motion?
Move to raise and appropriate the sum of $108,000, which will be added to the general operating budget appropriated under Article 2 for the purpose of funding a school resource officer within the police department for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018. This is contingent upon approval of a Proposition 2.5 override question pursuant to Chapter 59, Section 21C, G of the General Laws of Massachusetts.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Surface. Report from the Finance and Advisory Board.
Finance and Advisory Board voted 3 votes for recommendation and 2 abstentions.
Okay, to begin this discussion, this is the Proposition 2.5 override. We now have one officer and one that is shared between 2 schools. With the Proposition 2.5 override, this money this year will go to a police officer in the school. The money next year will go into the general budget, will go into the general fund. Usually, they try and make sure that the money gets budgeted back to the schools. That is not a guarantee. So once a 2.5 override, next year it will go into the general budget, just so that everybody understands that. Although they,
Point of order, I don't think that that's the case. It's not coming from the school budget.
No, what I'm saying is when an override is used, once an override comes in, it then goes into the, after this, it then goes into the general budget. Right. Right. So this year it will go to the police officer in the schools, and after that it will go to the general budget. So, discussion. Please.
Robert Kevin, 20 Cedar Lane. I want to start out saying I'm in favor of the resource officer, 100%, but I have a question about the funding. Based on the August 16, 2017 minute notes from the selectmen, right now the Greenbridge Health Inc. and Pharma Health will be giving the town at minimum $200,000 of unencumbered funds. They're not part of the budget. They're funds that the town gets from those two. It should be about $300, but the penalty clause from the Healthy Farms will drop it down to $200. Can the town encumber those funds specifically for the resource officer and not go into the general fund, therefore not needing the 2.5 override? Because later in this meeting, we're going to be going into a 3% tax the town will collect. Can we encumber that? Because based on $4 million of sales between those two businesses, we'll collect $120,000 in additional tax, and that's the minimum side of both companies. Can we encumber those funds and not need a 2.5 override?
Good question. Who would like to handle that one?
I can answer that.
Okay.
Steve Sadler's, Happy Hillside Drive. To answer your question about the funding mechanism for this, so
Stay closer to the mic, please.
All funds that are received from these two entities will go into a special account, so it's not in the general fund.
Correct.
I can't speak for all selectmen, but I am not in favor of using those payments for ongoing operational budget items. So there's no guarantee that these will be received. So I personally think it would be fiscally irresponsible if we did use that money for ongoing salaries in this case.
Madam Moderator, can I have a follow-up question?
Yes, sir.
You say that you don't want to encumber funds that you don't know you're getting, but this is the only year that you're guaranteed to have the funds for the police person. Next year it goes into the general fund that can be wiped out by a different department's issue. So you're okay with, you may get it in 20, but you're only under 19. Why can't we encumber the funds, the 200,000? These people have filed paperwork. We're about to vote on a 3%. There's no guarantees. We could go bankrupt any other time, so why won't the selectmen, instead of voting in a 2.5% override, why don't we just say, hey, great, we'll use this money, and if we don't get it, then we vote on a 2.5% override.
Yeah, I mean, I think for this particular example, it was a timing issue, so it would have been too late for us to get in the SRO that we have today, and I could let the chief elaborate on that, but that's my position on it, is that I only want to spend the money from these two establishments on one-time purchases. I do not want to spend it on ongoing.
Madam Moderator, another question. But
Okay.
we use this money for the previous SRO, but we can't use it for the current SRO? Last question. I'd like to get all the selectmen's opinion on using this money in this town meeting, please.
Well, I do want to correct one thing, all right? Greenbridge is not, part of this discussion as of this point. We have the selectmen approved the host agreement, that's right. They have yet to go in front of the planning board to get their license to operate, okay? They are not part of this equation right now, okay? Healthy Farms has been in operation. Their first year anniversary is upon us. They do have a payment coming due, okay? But we also know that, for those who know, Healthy Farms has also had a very large issue where they have been shut down, for the last month or 2 months, whatever it is. So who's to say that they're not even in business next year? Okay, we can't count on funds when we don't know that they're gonna be there. And I am in 100% agreement that we cannot use it for an ongoing expense item. Again, Greenbridge is not in the mix right now. They don't even have a license to operate. Okay, we just have a agreement that it was the first step that we approved as, something that they can now go to planning with. That is all.
And Madam Moderator, if
Well-
I'm under my 5 minutes still. I understand you're saying that they're not in business, but based on your statement, Healthy Farms is then required to pay $150,000, whether it's selling a dime or $4 million. And over $4 million, they're required to pay 3% additional, not including the tax. So if they come back, they sell $4 million, everything over $4 million, we make 3%, and they're required in FY19 to spend a check to $150,000. You're saying we can't use that money, but in the last budget for the current SRO, you did use this money.
No, wait, no.
You used none of the Healthy Farms money?
We haven't received a dime from Healthy Farms. Not one dime.
On one of the meeting notes, you said you were going to use that money from the Healthy Farms.
Okay,
I think you might have misconstrued that. That was not-
gentlemen,
no.
I think we have gone astray.
Okay.
We're working on Article 3 for a 2.5 override. Let's get back to that.
Ed Dobie from the Financial Advisory Committee. No one likes to have an override, and every year we wrestle with the finances that we have available to us to try and pay for everything that we need to pay for. This year is a very special year because of what's happened in Parkland and in other areas, where we have this random violence that we're facing that could happen anywhere, anytime. The whole reason for this request for a 2.5 override is simply because of timing. We need to have the SRO in place. We used what little funds we had left from the end of last year in order to pay for 3 months of the SRO. We were unable to come up with the money to pay for it on a go-forward basis. The budget has to be certified. We have to do this in order to get this through and make sure that we have an SRO.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Name and address, please.
Larry Bloom, 5 Dodge Avenue. I'm not understanding the need for a school resource officer. What's the crime that we're expecting or occurring in the schools? Is it drug use? Is it, and why is the current policing inadequate to fight crime in the schools?
I'm actually going to ask our superintendent
May
to...
I just say, I think I made myself clear that the crime is random. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody can predict what's going to happen. But we do know that if we don't take steps and something tragic happens, then we all have to look at ourselves in the mirror and take the blame. We can't predict things. We can only guard against them.
Moderator, long-time water police chief.
Yes.
It's pretty clear, given, in light of the situations, if you're watching television, reading the newspapers, it's not about the crime rate in the schools, it's about protecting the students and our faculty and our community. Probably the most important thing is the current position right now splits 3 schools, not 2. And by the time they're done with the traffic posts that we do down there at Elm Street and East Main, the time is limited within the buildings. This building here has been unprotected for most of the year, and given the circumstances, the parents overwhelmingly wanted additional police protection in their schools, period. I've attended 3 community meetings. That's the echo and the sentiment that I get. Now, it's very difficult to put a number, as this gentleman said, concerning crime rates. There's deterrence, and there's the ability to reduce a threat. We can never eliminate a threat. We can reduce it. That's what we do. We're training our students, we're training our parents, we're training our faculty, and quite frankly, anyone sitting in this audience should know that any training you receive, your life could be saved in this very, very unbalanced world that we live in, at a mall, at a movie theater, anywhere. So I don't want to discuss crime rates. Georgetown doesn't have a high crime rate, and we're lucky. We do have crime nonetheless. A lot of things that you see in the newspaper, we're not allowed to report the crimes that go on in our community. Freedom of Information Act. So, you know, yes, we have lost dogs and motor vehicle stops and street lights out, but that's really not the crux of what we're doing as the police department. The police department has not been added to, with the exception of last year, since 1999. We've had a 38% population increase, our call volume has tripled, yet we're still running 12 full-time police officers and about 18 full-timers that continue to rise. I have more part-time officers than I do full-time officers. It's not a sustainable model moving forward. And you're going to hear from the fire chiefs at some point, the part-time model is not sustainable. Given that, once that SRO in the school district is closed, that SRO will come back to the police department and we can work on some of our traffic initiatives, which this last SRO did do that. And we're actually able to reduce some traffic complaints in probably 30 areas in our community. I think everybody knows that sits out on our 4 main thoroughfares, traffic has increased a little bit, has it not? So we're trying to deal with that. And we've lost our ability to apply for grants. I get calls every day about grants. Our crash volume is down because it's hard to crash when you're sitting still. So we did have a lot of crashes back in the day for traffic enforcement, but we don't have crashes anymore because the traffic is standing still during those critical time periods. That officer will come back during the summertime, assist with our initiatives in our parks, as well as assist our citizens with other issues, specifically traffic. And that's what my intent is to use that position for. Thank you.
Did you have something to add?
Well, thank you very much. That explains it. You know, it's not just a school resource officer, but you know, when he's not in the schools, he or she is not in the schools. There's other things for them to do as far as traffic enforcement, things like that. So, my main concern is we were having a permanent unnecessary position, you know, of $188,000 that was going to go into the general fund permanently and not receive much benefit from it.
Thank you. Mr. Epstein?
I'll defer to the selectmen at the moment.
You need to speak to the microphone a little closer.
I would yield to Mr. Surface.
Thank you.
So, to get back to Red's point about money, this whole industry is a new industry in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, albeit it's been successful in other states. We just don't know, you know, if we're actually going to get the check. Until we can have an agreement, all the agreements you want. Until that check is in hand in cash and put in the bank, then we can spend it. So I think that was the apprehension on this board, is that in light of them being shut down for an extended period of time, who knows? They could, I'm not saying, you know, anything negative about them, but they could go bankrupt. We just don't know. So it's not really a steady, reliable source of revenue in order to fund this additional police position. So that's why we're coming for the override grant. So I just want to make sure that everybody understood that until you get that check and deposit it and it clears, the money is not there. And we cannot deficit, you know, spend. We can't deficit budget and worry about something that might come in sometime in 2018 or 2019. So that's why. Okay. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, Mr. Epstein.
Is there anybody in this room who can tell me how much the schools have already spent of their 2018 budget? How much remains? How much of that is encumbered by salaries through the end of the fiscal year? How much of that is encumbered by other fixed costs that the schools incur each year? And therefore, how much money is available for the schools to spend as they annually do in the month of June so that they never return a dime to the town?
What has that got to do with the school resource officer?
Okay.
That has a lot to do with the school.
Excuse me, we only need one person speaking at once and we don't need any yelling. Mr. Epstein has the floor.
In response to the interruption about This has nothing to do with the resource officer. This has everything to do with the resource officer. It has everything to do with an override, because if the schools go on a spending spurge at the end of the year, instead of returning $100,000 to the town, spend that $100,000 for things that they don't need but want, then it's got very much to do with whether or not we should encumber our neighbors with an additional levy of $108,000 this year, $108,000 plus 2.5% next year, ad nauseum.
Is there anybody that can answer that question?
I have a comment, moderator.
Madam
No,
Moderator.
first I'd like to know if there's anybody that can answer the question.
Yes, I can answer that question. Even if, Mr. Epstein, the money came back to the town, it wouldn't be able to be spent until 2020 through the free cash. Okay? Just letting you know that. So it wouldn't come back to 2020.
Madam Moderator, may I reply to that?
Yes, you may.
The point is that if the schools have $100,000 plus that they go and spend on wants at the end of the year, then there's $100,000 in the 2019 budget that was just passed to pay for this resource officer. And if we cannot get a straight answer from the town fathers, or the town treasurer, or the town accountant, or the school committee, then we should not vote for this override at this time.
Okay, thank you for your opinion. Yes, you may.
Ed Doby, Point 31 West Main
You
Street.
can raise that up so that you don't have to bend over.
I would just respectfully say to Mr. Epstein, that if you know so much about what's going on, we would have appreciated your help during the budget meetings, but I do not recollect seeing you there or hearing anything in terms of suggestions.
That's moderator, that's the
Excuse
person
me?
I'm attacking, I raise an objection to it, and if it's a gentleman should be sanctioned.
Excuse me, Mr. Epstein. If you would like to say something, you may come to the microphone. If you scream from your chair, I would ask you to leave. And you know I'm serious about that.
Madam Moderator, that was an ad hominem attack. I do not need to go to your meetings to know what is going on in this town. I'm paying attention. That you can't think of these things and then give me an ad nauseum attack for not attending your meetings. You are out of order, sir, and you should be asked to leave, or at least sanctioned by the moderator.
Mr. Epstein, we need people on the finance committee.
I have volunteered every year, Beverly. I had a standing invitation to volunteer. I told you I would serve on that committee anytime appointed. You've been moderator for how many years?
Would you like to be appointed?
Are you appointing me now?
If you would like to be appointed, I will appoint you.
I will not object to being appointed.
And consider it done when it is time for me to make appointments. Would anybody else like to make some discussion on this?
Madam Martin, I'd like to make a statement, not to get off point, but, you know, there are a lot of people that have a lot of comments around our schools and how they're run, you know, fiscally. Until you really sit down and look at the numbers, and maybe some of you have, okay? But, you know, I have many times, okay? I think that our town, our school administrators do a wonderful job based on the challenges that they have in front of them. One area that I've learned a lot about since I've been in my position, or a couple of areas, is school choice and special education. If you want to get just an absolute headache for an hour and try to figure out how that works in this state, okay, I welcome you to try and figure that out and look at the numbers, okay? These folks every single year, okay, take on challenges around those numbers, okay, which they have absolutely no control over, okay? The state gives our school system a certain amount of money, okay, to cover these expenses, okay, year over year, okay? And when it comes to those numbers,
okay? They basically have to say, okay, this is this, the state's giving us this, and it seems like every year, those numbers are absolutely flying off the charts. This year, as a matter of fact, we actually thought we had some numbers coming off of the books, but in actuality, we had another case that actually raised the numbers. So this is just one area of, the school finance area that, I would really welcome some people to really look at. But I think overall, our school committee and our superintendent have done a wonderful job with, an increasing amount of kids in new school, a number of different, different expenses that they've had to kind of juggle. And in a town where we just don't have, budgets like other towns with a bigger population, I actually applaud our schools, and I think they do a wonderful job. Okay.
So now we still need to get back to Article 3.
Madam Moderator,
Yes, sir.
I'm still waiting for an answer to my question about how much money the schools have to spend on wants as opposed to needs through the end of the fiscal year. And I think that is a fair question, and it is relevant to the topic as to how.
Does anybody here have an answer to that at their fingertips?
Point of order, moderator, this is a police matter, not a school matter, so that question is
Not from the back of the room, you don't speak.
Madam Moderator, Robert Kelly, 20 Cedar Lane. This is a police warrant article. It is not a school. That question is point of order.
This is for a school
Okay, so
resource
that's point of
officer,
order.
Madam Moderator. I think it's very much in order, but apparently there is nobody in this room who can answer that question.
At this point, I have not seen a show of hands that there is somebody that can answer the question. So the question will have to be answered through a school finance meeting.
Tom Moderator.
Yes.
I'd like to make a general statement as far as an answer. I know, as a chairman of the Board of Selectmen, I work with our school committee quite closely. And what I will say to that question is I don't have a number, okay? I wasn't ready for, that question. What I will say is that I trust Superintendent Jacobs and the school committee 1,000% that if there was money in the budget that they could return to the town, they would do so. Period.
Okay, so if there are no other discussions, is there another discussion? Okay, yes, ma'am.
Eileen Seabrook, 3 Pillsbury Lane. I actually have a question regarding Article 3, whether that $108,000 is solely the salary for one officer for 40 hours a week.
Good question.
All it's for.
Is that $108,000 the salary for that police officer, period?
Madam Moderator, Chief, that is not. The $108,000 is a number that was derived due to fringe benefits, health insurance, retirement, things like that. The average salary of the officer, of the person who's sitting in that position right now, is roughly $80,000, $78,000.
So the rest would be to cover
Fringe benefits.
health benefits and retirement and the rest of what goes with the job. Okay.
So I have a follow-up question. You had mentioned that it sounded to me as though you were hoping most for alleviation of traffic problems with this position more than fears for the safety of the students. That seemed to be a way of balancing.
That's not what I said. What I said was that during the school year, they would be in the schools. During the summer months, when school's not in session, I would utilize them to assist us with traffic and other town issues.
That's what
Because they would be in the schools, that's correct.
You're welcome.
Next.
Hi, Carol Esposito, 5 Lisa Lane, Georgetown. My point on this is that I think it's really dangerous to fund a salary. I think it's really dangerous to start the precedent of funding a salary, a personnel salary, for an overall. I I think this should come. I think it's a dangerous precedent to fund a salary obligation through an override. I don't think the town should do that. Just in the interest of full disclosure, I'm opposed to the resource officer, but that's my personal opinion. My issue right now is budgetary. I do not think that under any circumstances, a personnel account or a salary should be funded by an override. There are many reasons for that, but I think one of the main ones is that, as Chief Cudmore said, after the first year, the money goes back to the budget, and then it could be used for other things. And I don't think it's correct use of our funds to do a tax override, imposing a tax on residents across the town for a personnel issue. I think it should come from the personnel budget of the department that wants that person. That's it. Thank you.
I've been working for the police department for 33 years, and prior to 1999, every single full-time officer that we were able to hire was a result of overrides, because that's the only way that we're able to increase our budget. So when I started, we had 9 officers, 10 officers, 11 officers, 12 officers. This will bring us to 13 full-time officers. I do appreciate Mrs. Epstein's concern about trying to take it out of our budget, but as the board can attest to in the FinCom, our budget's level funded every year. I could never just put another position into the budget without some type of remediation. So the town fathers and the FinCom elected to use the override mechanism to do that. Otherwise, we're level funded.
Okay.
Call the question.
One more.
Anyone left standing to move the question?
Last standing.
I'd like to move the question.
Okay, I have someone that wants to move the question, which means I have to move it immediately. Wait a minute. I need a second to do that.
Second, Madam Clerk.
Okay, so I need a two-thirds, I need a second to move the question. I've got that from Harry. It needs a two-thirds vote to move this question. So I need a two-thirds vote to move the question and to get ready for a regular vote. So all in favor of moving the vote? Opposed? It carries with the two-thirds. So now I need a majority to pass Article 3 for the 2.5 override. All in favor? Opposed? That passes by a majority. Article 4, the Water Department operating budget. Who is making that motion? Water Department. Okay, seeing as the water department is not here,
We'll do the best we can.
and they want money,
Wayne Smells, 91 North Street. Water department motion. Move the account appropriate $1,581,418 from the water department enterprise fund fiscal year 2019 revenues and $607,505 from the water department enterprise available funds for the operation and capital expenditures of the water department under the discretion of the water commissioners in accordance with the water department budget as shown in the finance and advisory book report through May 7, 2018 annual town meeting report for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018, such that the total of $271,147 is appropriated from the water department share of indirect costs, operating costs, as appropriated under Article 2. A total of $1,567,776 is appropriated to the water department direct operating expense. A total of $350,000 is appropriated to the water department fiscal 2019 capital expenditure.
okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Gary Fowler is second. Report from the Finance Advisory Committee, please.
We took no action on this. We did have order action.
Finance and Advisory Board took no action. Is there a discussion? Yes.
Steve Savers, 7 Hillside Drive. I just have to say that I'm extremely disappointed that the water department or the commissioners did not attend tonight's meeting. This is their area. It's our water, and whether or not we have issues or we don't have issues with it, I think it's disgraceful that we don't have one representative here from the water department to go over this article. Answer any
$1,567,776, you're right. Any other discussion? Requires a majority vote. All in favor? Yes.
George Comiskey, 45 Old Jacobs Road. I'm just wondering, there's a lot that goes on with the water department. I was wondering if the selectmen could reach out to water department, have them publish their minutes. They have a very closed room that really a lot of people can't accommodate a lot of people, but I think there's a lot of question what's going on, maybe 5 years worth of minutes to see where we're at.
Yes.
Sir, thank you for your comment. I will actually call on them for our next agenda or the following, okay, to get some feedback for you, okay?
We can find out why they weren't here.
Probably first on the agenda.
Thank you. This requires a majority. All in favor? Still need our water. Opposed? It passed by a majority, but not unanimous. Article 5, Fire Department Ambulance Operating Budget.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town appropriate $380,000 from the Fire Department Ambulance Enterprise Fund fiscal year 2019 revenues and $88,859 from the Fire Department Ambulance Fund retained earnings for the total operational expenses of $468,859 under the direction of the Board of Selectmen and the fire chief in accordance with the fire department ambulance budget as shown in the Finance Advisory Board's report on May 2nd, 2018, annual town meeting report for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2018.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Report from the Finance and Advisory Committee.
No action taken.
No action. We need members on that Finance and Advisory Committee. Discussion. We have a very wonderful ambulance department, trust me. I know from personal experience. All right, we need a majority. All in favor? Opposed? Do I see any pink slips up? I'm doing it.
Better get that one.
Oh, I see one way up there just waving in the breeze. It passes with the majority, but not unanimous. Article 6, local access programming.
I move that the town vote to appropriate from the PG Access and Cable Related Fund the sum of $75,000 for salaries, $25,000 for expenses relating to provision of PEG access services and oversight and renewal of the cable franchise agreement for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2018.
Report from the Finance and Advisory.
We take no action if no response is made.
Oh, I'm sorry, I need a second. I need a second first. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Report, okay, there's no action taken. Discussion. Okay, vote requires majority. All in favor? Opposed? I see one little pink one waving in the breeze again. So it carries majority, but not unanimous. We are now entering into our consent calendar. The consent calendar is part of an effort to make our town meeting more productive and save time for some of the key issues. Each year there are a number of warrant articles that are pretty standard, and they're routine, non-controversial, and pretty predictable. All of the items being considered for the consent calendar is one of the first items of business. There will be a motion to take all of these articles as one single brief affirmative main motion. I will call out the number of each articles one by one. If a voter has a doubt about passing any of the motions or wishes an explanation, please say hold. I will then inquire whether it's to request some information or for it to be taken out of the consent calendar. Please hope that voters remove only articles in cases of genuine concern. After calling all the individual articles, I will ask that all articles remain to be passed as a unit by our majority vote. The articles being considered for the consent calendar, 7, 8, and 9. Article 7, Municipal Light Department Continuation of Operation. Article 8, Chapter 90, Reimbursement for Transportation Bond. In Article 9, Revolving Funds of the Zoning Board of Appeals, limit $20,000. Conservation Camp Dennison limit, $60,000. And the fire alarm limit, $14,000. For the inspections department limit of $16,000. I did not hear anyone say hold. So I will accept a motion for the consent calendar for all of the articles together.
So move, Madam Moderator.
Harry Locatilia, I will accept a second.
Seconded.
Okay, this is all in one vote for all of the 3 articles. It is a majority. All in favor? Opposed? see no pink slips. Unanimous.
Madam Moderator, before we continue, I think we should recognize our state representative, Randy Merriam, who's sitting here, in case he has to leave. I know this has been a lengthy meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I didn't see
So-
you come in. Welcome. Welcome to our meeting. It's nice to have you here.
Pleasure to be here.
I snuck in the side door on us, didn't you? Okay, Article 10, Fire Department pump truck, Fire Department pump truck. Our motion is going to be made by Douglas.
Madam Moderator, I move to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into an agreement to lease, purchase, and equip a pump truck for the fire department pursuant to the provisions of General Law, Chapter 44, Section 21C, for a period up to or exceeding 3 years.
Second. I have a second. Report from the Finance and Advisory.
This did not come before us.
It did not come before you. Okay, I'm going to start the discussion with the fact that the first payment on this will be in fiscal year 2020. We are not raising money for this year. We are just allowing them to start the process of leasing for an extended period of time and equipping a pump truck for the fire department. So we're not putting any money into this. It's a long process to build this truck, and it's a long lease. So it's a required vote of 2/3 because it's an extended lease purchase payment. Okay? Is there any other discussion amongst anybody for this? Or yes? Yes.
Madam Moderator, Fred Mitchell, Fire Chief, 17 Andover Street. Just would like to explain what we're looking for approval tonight is to be authorized to spec out a new pumper to replace the 1999 HME Engine 5. Once we spec it out, sign an agreement with a manufacturer. Depending what their schedule is for building the truck, you're looking at anywhere between 6 to 9 months. So probably a year from now, we'd be looking at a delivery date sometime within the spring, mid to late spring. And with the first payment would be due in FY20. So we're not even looking at any funds this year. It would be budgeted into the fire department budget for next fiscal year 20.
So this just allows us to begin the process of letting them know what we need to have built into the truck that we need.
Correct.
Okay. Yes.
Madam Moderator, Joseph Susi, 286 Central. Just a point of information. So is this giving the fire department the authority to enter into a purchase agreement for this truck and then next year we'll already have a signed purchase agreement and vote on funding it?
I believe that would be it. We're looking to build it into the budget because the last truck that was purchased was the 2007 ladder truck.
I have no qualms with the new truck. I just want to say that by approving this, then we're basically approving funding that we're not approving yet. Because you're going to basically sign a contract, right?
Down the road.
Yes.
Any other questions? It doesn't require a 2/3 vote. All in favor? Opposed? One little pink flutter. It passes by a 2/3 vote. Article 11, Library Security System, Mr. Fowler.
Madam Moderator, I, Gary Fowler, move to vote to transfer from free cash a sum of $31,500 for the purchase, design, and installation of a library security system.
Well, that was short and sweet. I need a second. Wayne Snow. Report from the Finance and Advisory.
Finance and Advisory Committee voted to recommend this 5-0.
Thank you very much. You like this one. Is there any discussion? Would anybody like to tell me what is going to be done with the library security system?
Sarah Cox, not our library director, non-resident. So this would be security cameras, an alarm system, as well as panic buttons throughout the library.
Okay, sounds like a deal. Any other discussion? Majority vote, all in favor? Opposed? Carries by a majority. Article 12, Town Hall Security Systems. Dean Sadler.
I move to vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $25,000 for the purchase, design, and installation of the town hall security system.
We need a second.
Second.
Report from the Finance and Advisory Committee.
Madam Moderator, Finance and Advisory Committee voted to recommend 5-0.
Thank you. Discussion. Now, I am assuming, oh, I'm right, that it's similar to what they're doing to the library.
I can speak on that, Madam Moderator. Currently, right now, the system that they're using is inadequate, and all of the operating systems are outdated, so we need to update both the camera system and servers, as well as the exterior locks on the building.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? It requires majority. All in favor? Opposed? The one blind spot. Way up there at the back. Carries with the majority. I think he sits up in his blind spot on purpose. Article 13, Highway Department pickup truck.
Madam Moderator, I move to vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $52,000 to purchase and equip a highway department pickup truck.
I need a second.
Second. David Twist.
Rachel, thank you. Report from the Finance and Advisory Committee.
Madam Moderator, the Finance and Advisory Committee voted 5-0 to recommend.
Thank you. Any discussion on this? Okay, it requires a majority. All in favor? Opposed? I don't see any little pieces. That was unanimous. Article 14. I'm hearing no motion, that is considered passed over. Article 15, Fire Department helmets.
Madam Moderator, I move to vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $20,000 for the purchase of fire department helmets.
Report from the Finance and Advisory Committee.
Finance Committee voted 5-0.
Thank you. Discussion. You think we should get the fire department helmets? Any discussion? Yes, we do have somebody. Fire Chief.
Fire Chief Mitchell. The helmets expired. They last for 10 years, but they're at base standard 1851. They're coming up on 10 years. That'll buy 40 helmets.
Okay. Thank you. It's a lot of helmets. It requires a majority. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Everybody wants to be safe. Article 16. Hearing no motion, that one is considered passed over. Article 17.
Madam Moderator, I, Gary Fowler, move to vote transfer from free cash the sum of $40,000 for the purchase of equipment and design and installation work for the police station T1 radio project.
I need a second.
Second.
And I need a report from the Finance and Advisory Committee.
I'm in favor, zero
Okay. Now, it's my understanding that this is not just for the police department.
That's correct.
This is for fire department, highway department, light department, water department, and police department.
I think John's going to speak to that.
Yes, Chief.
Good evening, Don Cudmore, 169 Arm Nelson. This project is an entire town-wide project. What's happened is Verizon is getting out of the copper line business, and probably within 2 years will not support our current radio lines. So we need to run a new technology, and that will include also connecting Erie 4 and a new substation at the soon-to-be-built water tower on Long Hill. So without the wire, the copper wire, we need additional technology, and it will be installed in phases. We've already installed phase 1, which you're aware from Springtown meeting, and I'm sorry, Fall Town meeting. And no, did I get that right? You did it at the last town meeting. So what will happen is it will allow us to continue the radio service as well as use the new technology that's coming once the copper lines are eliminated. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Requires a majority. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, it carries by majority. Now, Article 18. This is a fun one. Article 18 is the Community Preservation Committee article, otherwise known as the CPC. And they've got bunches of subsections. So, as one of the first items of business, there will be a motion to take all of these subsections as printed in the warrant and act on them as a group by a single, brief, affirmative main motion.
So moved, Madam Moderator.
So, it's like the consent calendar. I will call out the number of the articles one by one. If a voter has a doubt about anything and you want to pull it out, just say hold, and we'll pull it out and we'll debate it. If you have no problem with any of these articles or sections of the articles, then we'll pass it by one main motion. The articles being considered for the consent calendar are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K. A, Community Preservation General Budget. B, Affordable Housing Trust Grant. C, Historic Resources category, Peabody Library Restoration. D, Historic Resources category, Historic Hill Schoolhouse. E, Historic Resources category, Historic Brocklebank Museum Preservation. F, Historic Resources category, Historic Town Hall Preservation. We're in the historic building. H, Open Space category, Conservation Land Purchase. I missed G. Oh, sorry. To see if the town will vote. Oh, that's the Camp Dennison. The the lodge roof at Camp Dennison. I just didn't highlight it in red in my page. I, open space recreational land category West Street replacement study. I already did it. It was G that I lost. H was open space category conservation land purchase. I, open space recreational land category West Street fields replacement study.
Hold.
You want to hold I?
Yes.
Okay. J, preservation open space recreational land category American Legion Park retaining wall. K, open space recreational land use category East Main Street active recreational land access and development. Hold K. So now we will be talking is one main motion, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, J, and that's it. So I will take a motion for all of the above mentioned.
So moved, Madam Moderator, Harry Lafayette.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second? Okay. Harry, can you say moved as printed in the warrant, please?
Yes, all of those and moved as printed in the warrant.
Thank you. So I need a second.
Second.
Second?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor of those? Opposed? They carry as a majority vote. Okay. Now we have two that were put on hold. One was open space recreational land category, West Street Fields replacement study. And that was to see if the town will vote to appropriate Okay, who said hold on that? Would you like to make a motion on that particular? Well, somebody has to make a motion and a second for us to discuss it.
Madam Moderator, I'd be happy to do that.
I'll second it, David Service.
Well, he has to motion.
My motion is I move the town appropriate $25,000 from the Community Preservation Fund undesignated account for purposes and subject to the conditions set forth in the warrant.
Second.
Okay. So, can you explain why you wanted it to be put on hold?
Madam Moderator, I don't feel that the town at this point has any source of funding what could possibly come out of this study. And I'd also like to know if the Finance and Advisory Committee, I'm not seeing it in here, if they had any recommendations on this also.
We had no
Thank you.
recommendations on this, we did not take a vote.
They had no recommendations on any of this CPC.
Madam Moderator, I can add some color that, because I'm on the actual committee.
Okay, go for it.
So is Scott McDonald, is here somewhere also. So, I hear what Gary's point is, why do a study if we can't afford to do it? There's been a lot of discussion about the West Street fields and why kids are playing on those fields in the first place. They were never designed to be fields for sporting events. They're actually supposed to be for making our water system better. And there's been a lot of discussion about, well, why don't we just do some fields up at the high school? Rather than speculate, we really wanted to do a study. There also has been some other studies that we're going to incorporate into this. The company that we're looking to hire will also incorporate some previous studies to come up with the best solution. We have a shortage of fields in town. even after putting a field online at the new school, we're still short fields. You know, we're throwing a lot of money at the West Street fields at times for, you know, re-landscaping, adding additional, you know, whatever it is, turf or whatever, you know, whatever they're adding there. There's a lot of limitations because of the water supply and wildlife and so on and so forth. So the committee is looking for $25,000, in which we have convinced the CPC to approve it and put it on the warrant. So that's what we're looking for, to figure out what's the best solution for the town as a whole, not just to speculate. You know, it could come back and say the solution is $5 million. Obviously, we would have to come to the townspeople and put a plan together to fund that. It could be a $200,000 solution. We just don't know. Rather than speculate and have everybody's, you know, ideas about what can be done, we wanted to actually get a professional opinion on what really should be done to take the foot traffic off those West Street fields.
Any other discussion?
Madam Moderator. Madam Moderator.
Yes.
Stephen Epstein, 55 West Street. Mr. Service is mistaken. Those fields have been used as soccer fields for as long as I can remember, and that goes back to 1987. I believe they were in use for at least 10 years before that, and I think the moderator can confirm that information has been going back into the 70s. Those fields have always been relatively rocky, but they are better than most fields in the third world. And they do encourage great ball skills. Okay? Now, I would appreciate not having the traffic on Saturday mornings. I would also appreciate not having the traffic on weekday afternoons as moms and dads rush to the fields and back again. But I've lived with it for 32 years, and I can live with it a little bit longer without hiring a professional to tell us that we could use better fields, because we know that. We had a lot of fields built up at the new school. Perhaps we should have spent a little bit more money on even more fields there and a little less asphalt, but the Conservation Commission wouldn't let us build right-of-way through the wetlands so the traffic could circulate properly. We make our own problems in this town. And spending $25,000 on an expert to tell us where we might want to put fields, because I can go back even before I moved in town, where what is now the horse barn and the golf course in Miss Fabiano's home, Miss Enos's home, was offered in part to the town for a school and fields, and it was the flattest, probably best place in this town for a school. But we said, our predecessors said, no, we thumbed their nose at that offer because the gentleman who owned the farm wanted to build some houses. Well, now the town is filled with houses, and we have lots of little children who need to play. We're looking to spend an expert. We could use that money to fix up additional fields somewhere else in town, rather than pay an expert who's going to tell us the obvious. It goes up at the backfield of the high school. You make additional fields elsewhere. You improve the West Street fields because there are ways within the water company's rules and regulations that it can be improved. You can't do anything about planting turtles, but you can make at least one full-size pitch up there, have some real grass on it, and maintain that grass.
Okay.
If you do it right.
Okay, Steve, was that a yes to do this study or no?
I'm opposed to the study, that was clear.
Thank you.
Mr. Epstein, thank you for the history lesson. But using the fields the way we're using them for these many, many, many years has taken its toll. They were never designed to be athletic fields. Never. And if I was you, I would spend the money to stop the traffic coming down my street every week. So anyway, but that's just personal.
Next person at the other microphone, please.
Josh Greenblatt, 3 Harris Way. I'm also the president of Georgetown Youth Soccer. We have 450 kids that play, and West Street practice on West Street. We do the best we can there. The new fields that are online are just enough. I was asked by the selectmen, if we lost West Street, do we have the facilities in town to accommodate those 450 kids? And the answer is no. There's nothing we can do at West Street to improve the conditions enough to not make it a hazard. It's a hazard. I'm not going to compare Georgetown to a third world country. I'd like some grass for the kids to play on. I think a study is a good idea to find locations in town that make the most sense, not only for the number of fields that we may need, but the impact on traffic and other things like that. I'm in favor of this study, and I believe the other members of the GAA and Georgetown Youth Soccer are in favor also.
Okay, this microphone.
Madam Moderator, if I may, Harry Lockett's I'm the CPC representative from the planning board. And just so that we're not working on different sets of facts here. One of the things that the study purports to do, one of the brought to the CPC, was to determine the best location of many locations for the replacement of the fields. It's not that it's looking at spending money on West Street. It's to determine what the best, most cost-effective solution is. There are numerous places that we can put fields. Town has municipal land down off of the industrial road there. We have a high school field. There are numerous places we can put land up off of Martel Way. There are numerous solutions to this that the town never had an option before. And now what we really need is we need a professional to tell us and look at this from an engineering perspective.
To look at other locations.
To look at all of those locations and tell us which is the best, most cost-effective, so that it might be 5 million, but maybe it'll be 3 or 2 or more.
Okay.
But we don't want to get into a situation where, and I've seen it with the turf field, the politics go behind it. There's this, oh, let's go there, let's go there. It looks like a good place. Find out what the best solution is from an engineering perspective.
Okay. Thank you. This microphone.
Madam Moderator, Scott Stone, 5 Winter Lane. I'm also the Vice President of the GAA. And I just want to add that part of this study is to also confirm that we do, in fact, need additional fields. So I just want everyone to know that we're not going to arbitrarily just go through this study and then move forward. There will be questions asked of all the directors of all the GA sports to determine if, in fact, we need additional fields if we were to close West Street in the first place. I also want to add, there's a significant safety issue at West Street. There's no doubt about it. I don't know when the last time Mr. Epstein actually walked those fields or tried to play soccer on those fields, but if you had young children, I think you'd have a major problem with kids playing on those fields, because it's a problem. Anybody falls and hits their head, they're falling on rocks and dirt. There's no more soil and no more grass there. And we can't do anything to make it better.
Okay, Mr. Epstein.
You know, 25 years ago or so, I said to the GAA that if you had every child who comes down to that field at every practice who brought 1 quart of topsoil, you'd have a wonderful field. All right? I walk those fields almost every day, sir.
Okay, Steve, take it easy.
Those fields are passably usable as they exist and as they are watered. Are they as good as the turf field at the high school? No. Are they as good as a fairway at the golf course? No. Are they better than Clark Park was in Topsfield when they first capped the landfill? Yes, because I got my leg sliced open by a piece of glass playing over 30s there. There are risks in playing soccer. There's the risk of head injury. There's a risk of falling down and just separating your shoulder, because it happens. Blowing out a knee. If these fields are so awful that the GAA, a private organization, doesn't want to have the children playing on them, then stop playing on them.
I think that's the point of this article.
No, that's not.
Next.
Madam Moderator, Gary Fowler, 419 Water Street.
Yes, it is the point of this article.
The point of this article is to conduct a study basically for a private organization.
No, it's to look for other locations. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I come down here because when I do this type of thing, I like for people to know that I'm doing this as a citizen, not as somebody up there on the board.
Okay.
But I'm not going to say that we don't need more fields. Anybody, I guess, whatever. We always want more. I will answer the question. I recently walked those fields, and in my opinion, they are in much better shape than 25 years ago, I think it was. I don't know, my wife is here, maybe she can help me. But, you know, our children played on them fields, and I think they're in better shape than they were years ago. But the reason, I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that. But the reason I came down here is what I started with, and that is that this town has no mechanisms other than free cash going forward right now at this point that I'm aware of to fund capital projects. And this $25,000 study could lead to a very costly capital project that you don't have the funds to pay for. And I would much rather get that taken care of. To me, this is, what's it saying? The horse before the cart. I mean, get a capital project funding mechanism so that when you want to do this type of thing, you have it. We do not. We fund capital projects, again, I'm going to say, with free cash. You know what else we did with free cash this year? We balanced our budget with over, I believe, $80,000 of free cash that probably could have gone into capital projects. But you don't have that because you just approved a budget that's funded with free cash from last year. So again, get something done in funding capital projects in this town instead of relying on free cash that you're not going to have any next year perhaps because this year you spent it all in your budget. Thank you.
Okay. Next.
Non-moderator, Joseph Smith. Point of information. I used to be in Park and Rec, and I know for the last century or so we've been working on East Main Street. Is this, whose project is this? So, you know, CPC is either recreation, historical, a bunch of other things. Is this a Park and Rec issue? Is this a special committee issue? Where did this come from?
So there was some major discussion amongst the Parks and Rec and the Board of Selectmen. And the Board of Selectmen decided to put a committee together, appoint a committee, to discuss this one issue. Because we talked a lot about should a field go up at the high school, you know, all these ideas that everybody's throwing out, which is a good thing. I think the major point in all of this is that just because you don't have the money, you don't plan. You need to plan. You know, there could be grants for this down the road. It could be the GAA's going to pay for it. We don't know. But if you don't know what you need, you know, then just forget about it and don't worry about it. I mean, I think that's
I'm not
just...
in that position. I've had
No, I understand.
21 years of kids tearing themselves up.
One at a time, please.
Right, so you did ask me, and this is part of the reason why, I think, yeah, it's the Board of Selectmen basically through this subcommittee, and the funding was done through CPC.
Okay, one more person. Oh, we have 2 over there. Okay. Kaminsky?
Yeah, George Kaminsky, 45 Old Jacobs Road. And I'm also with the Parker Clean Water Association. There are limitations on that field. It's within a Zone 1. Some of the field is within a Zone 1 or public water supply, which means DEP has control. It's about 1,000 feet within the well is Zone 2. It's a very sandy soil. I mean, I hear talk about how we can water and water and water. That's because the rainwater just goes straight down in the ground. If we were to completely loam it, the DEP would probably require, and the water department would require, that the soil be tested. You can't fertilize within the Zone 2 because a lot of these most fertilizers contain nutrients and nitrates, which can cause health problems, blue baby syndrome. And so this is our water supply. If you hear the talk on Facebook about our water, this would improve it if we were to go that route about taken all these steps, battling with DEP, battling with the water department. You know, so I support this article. I think we should look elsewhere. I mean, if we cut down on the use of West Street, there probably could be some improvements made, let the grass grow back, but taking extraordinary measures isn't appropriate this time.
Just 2 quick points. You know, I hear a lot of things like, 20 years, 30 years ago, this has always been a problem for a long time, so I commend the selectmen for bringing this up and just having a discussion. The other thing is, this is not just something we look at the field and we think it's a hazard, it really is a hazard. We've had discussions with Essex County, which is the county that Georgetown plays in. Those fields are on their radar, and we need to do something about that because there is a danger there to the kids, not only our kids, but we have numerous towns visiting every Saturday that come to see those fields and have to play on those fields. And it's a little embarrassing, to say the least, to have communities come into Georgetown and see that's what we provide.
Yes.
I am Jim Demetri from the chairman of the Park and Rec. I kind of disagree with everybody on this a little bit, but I agree with everybody the most.
Closer to the mic.
I approve this research, but there's a couple of things I want to state. I got approval from the water department to field dress those fields because they are in horrible condition. My thoughts as being chairman for the last 15 years is to put them into a practice state so different organizations can use them for practices but not for games. I had a conversation with Gail a number of years ago when they were talking about the top field because it's made out of soft shale. Those fields could be turned into a flat area. It was under discussion 20 years ago, but it could be done with the equipment that was available 20 years ago. So I think the study will show what that cost would be to turn those 2 fields at the top of the high school into one massive field with possibly a track, a grassy track, or whatever else this study finds. They may also find there's other pieces of land that we've purchased that maybe small fields can be put in. So it is a study that's necessary because we're going to have a build out in this town. And if we don't get the land now for that build out, we'll be back talking about where our kids are going to be playing. We're playing now on parks, and my ultimate goal as a resident is if your kid wants to go down to American Legion Park, it's not a recreational area, and play baseball, he can go do that. So we're using every field at every capacity right now. West Street's overused, and I think a combination of things will get done, and I think this is something that the study will bring forth.
Okay. I think we've heard from everybody that would like to speak. So, we're going to vote on I, recreational land, West Street field replacement study. That will require a majority vote. All in favor? Opposed? It passed by a majority, but not unanimous. And K was the other one that was held.
Madam Moderator,
I need a motion.
if I may, with regards to Article K, community preservation, open space, recreational land, use category, Main Street, active recreational land, and access and development. I move that the town vote to appropriate $60,000 from the community preservation fund undedicated account for the purposes and subject to the conditions set forth in the law.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second. Gary Fowler.
Thank you. Okay, will somebody like to explain what this is? You get to explain it to us.
Madam Moderator, it was brought to our attention on the CPC that, as most people know, East Main Street, the East Main Street recreational area, which has been under development for many, many years. I think we started funding that and we made purchases back in, I forget what it was, many, many years ago, about 7 or 8 years ago. This was always something that was intended to be funded in phases, as opposed to the turf field at the high school, which was a bond. This was done annually when we found the money. At this point right now, $60,000 was available from the fund to move into the next step. Hopefully, we'll be able to utilize the money that we still have. The Park and Rec will use this $60,000 to get the park up to a condition where it will be adequate enough to open.
Where is the East Main Street active recreational area?
If you went down East Main Street and you went to the church, it's there. And, yes, you like the community church. And you drive up what used to be their driveway, but is now actually town-owned land. And you continue on as you're driving down, you'll hit a gate, which is currently locked because it's not done. It's on a special permit and it's not done. So you keep on going and it's all back there, and that all leads to all the land behind that house.
Okay.
What it's called the greenway.
We have another guest. So we have Senator Tarr who's joined us as well. There's a little party going on in the corner over there. Welcome. It's nice to have both of you here. You get to be here for all the good stuff. Okay. What would you like to add?
Jean Nelson, 30 Sorrel Street. I have a couple of questions. As Terry noted, it seems to me this project has been going on for a long, long time. I would like to know how much has been spent on this project already.
Okay, who has an answer to that question? Oh, looks like somebody's coming down. Mr. Demento.
We had purchased the land. There was one donation and 2 land purchases. We were given 30 acres of land donated by Jim Bussin. We purchased a couple acres and $60,000 for the access road to get into the property. And then we purchased both ponds and another, I think that both ponds were 20 acres from Jim Toma for $40,000. So the land is basically about 60 acres for about $100,000. And then the construction is about, we went out to bid, the main construction is about $440,000, which is the road, the dog park, the field, the cutting of all the trees, the building of the road. And then there was probably another 50,000 incidentals, which was the rock wall was 30, the lights going up to the side, and the fence that you see is another 10. So ultimately, we're probably under about 600,000 for the whole thing, the land and the construction. We expect it to take another 300,000 to 400,000 to complete.
That was my question, is how much it will be to complete. So when this is done, it's basically will be over $1 million project. Is that right, Mr. Demento?
Yes.
Okay.
And when is that expected to happen?
That was my next question. When will this
mind reader that I am.
When will this be ready for use?
That's a combination of a lot of factors. Right now, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place in the sense that we're under a special permit. So the planning board will dictate at what time the park is considered safe enough to open. Right now, there's 60,000 with the 80,000 I have in the front will go to the parking lot, which will be parking for the greenway in the park. So, and then I also have to go funding through the CPC and convince those members each year that a certain amount of money they can give, they can afford to meet with all the other projects coming. So my only advice, if you want it done, is to start talking to the CPC and start talking to the planning board. I started this project buying the land in about 2006. So it's been taking a lot of time, but it's always been 40,000 years. Every year from the plan, when we go for the CPC, money that's left over in the fund, only once they get a big chunk of money to really get going on this project and send it out to bid.
That's my next question, maybe for Harry. How much money is there left now in the CPA fund in total? It sounded to me, the way you were talking, that this account is pretty much spent out at this point. Is that true?
The CPC doesn't get money coming in anymore. It's mostly going out.
No.
No? Is that not correct, Harry?
You've got an article here, the 28th of next year, and I'm asking the question, how much money basically is left, we've got an article here funded for
Well, one of the things we have to remember, if money is given to the CPC and they don't use it within 3 years, it goes back to the CPC fund.
If it's given to the applicant, you need.
And if it's given to an applicant and they don't use it in 3 years, it goes back to CPC.
But I know because I work for the CPC in another town, we fund this every year, we're funding it now, and their state match is dwindling, you're right, but I don't think the town's portion is dwindling, it's increased.
Harry, how much money do we have left?
Yeah, I can tell you, Madam Moderator, from this year, I believe we had approximately $60,000 remaining.
In all of the accounts?
Oh, no, not in all of the accounts. In the account that came in for this year, from our operating budget this year. Estimated receipts.
I mean,
But actually, the only,
because they're playing left in housing.
Okay, so Harry, why don't you take a look at all of the accounts and kind of put something together?
I certainly would be happy to do that.
Yeah.
I can tell you that we are fully funded.
Okay. So anything that's on this warrant is fully funded?
If it wasn't, then we would not have been able to.
Okay,
And
thank
I'm
you.
not questioning that, what I'm asking is how much money is left, because it sounds like at least the undesignated, which is usually the largest, is down to a very, very low number, which is why you're only funding the East Main Street cost for $60,000, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So we don't have a lot of money left.
No, we don't.
Sounds like my bank account.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next? Nobody at that microphone? We'll go back to
Madam
this
Moderator, if I
microphone.
can just say one thing. Most of the reason we don't have any money left is that in the very first article, we spent $250,000 paying back the bond for the church field.
Okay,
So we're way ahead of the game on that.
okay. Next.
I'm Nat Hadley, 279 Rose Street. I want the dog park done now. And whenever it gets, it's all ready to go, and people are not using it. But it should be done. And let people start to enjoy what they can enjoy, and the dog park is something that they can enjoy, and they really want. There's an awful lot of dogs in this town, and people want a place to go and let the dogs. So I want that done.
I totally agree with you. I'd love to have the dog park done. But it's my understanding that the driveways and the accessibility routes have to be done before anything can be opened.
Yeah, but half of it's done. The dog park is pretty much done, except for they haven't painted or put signs up for the handicap access, or something about that. So it could pretty much be done. Just open it. Finish it up and open it, and worry about the fields when you can.
Harry? We still have to go before the planning board to get the driveways and the parking lots access open, correct?
That is correct, Madam Moderator. The
Can't
planning board
open
gave a
anything
special
until that's
permit,
done.
and until the town engineer looks at the park in its real condition on the ground and agrees that that's what was approved, or until Park and Rec asks for a modification of the permit, then I'm afraid
It's
the
not
building
safe.
inspector will not allow it.
It's not safe until the driveways and the parking lots are safe for people to at least come into the property.
It has to be made safe, and that the dog park has to have pavement underneath the 8 feet accessible parking. It's not up to stop, it's not up to design, it's not up to 8 feet accessible.
Neither is any of the schools in this town.
And the front door, the back door of the town hall doesn't open, but, little by little, security things and fixing doors and things like that.
So, the short answer is, we can't open anything until the planning board approves of the accessibility to that entire project.
Yes, and then the building inspector would sign off on it.
Okay.
And just because I'm unfamiliar, how do I make that part happen?
Well, go talk to the building. Go talk to the building inspector and he'll get you in touch with the planning board.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All of our dogs want to be there. So now we're going to finish votes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, Maggie Van Galen from 67 Palm Street. I just have a question for the sort of future of the park.
Sure.
Would we ever consider, as part of the funding, charging those from out of town to use the park?
Would we ever consider charging to use the park for out-of-towners?
Yes, I've done some research. The town of Andover has a park that they have, when the out-of-towners pay $20 a visit per car, and then people in town pay permit as basic for the season. It flies to the town of Andover. All we wanted to incorporate something like that in the town of Georgetown. But we haven't, part of the problem we have is we have volunteers. I can't collect tickets during the day. I'm gone. They used to allow people at mobile to collect tickets. Now you have to go to the town treasurer's office to do it. And the system now isn't in place to do that, but it would be to the town's advantage probably to start something like that. And I like to incorporate it the same exact thing that they're doing in Andover, because if they passed it and it went through the Attorney General's office, we should
But
go.
you would need somebody
we
at
should
the
go
gate
word
to
for
be selling
word,
tickets.
or we should go word for word with the warrant article papers.
Okay, sounds good.
Just as a point of information, the state monies, you cannot do that. And if you did do that, I would get Steve Epstein to sue the town.
Well, thank you so much. Okay, Jean.
Jean Nelson, 30 Stroke. I just had one thought after listening to all of this, which is that there are a lot of CPA articles in here across all the different categories, which is good. This is the way the money should be spent, but I would urge the CPC and Park and Rec to put a priority on finishing this project, maybe not fund something else, and instead fund this out of either open space and recreation or undesignated funds, because I feel like it's going to go on and on forever. I'd like to see it done, and I'd like to see projects closed out and then money available for other purposes.
Okay. You're listening. Thank you. I think everybody's ready to vote on K. It requires a majority. All in favor? Opposed? I see a flashlight on one of the little pinks in case I missed it. So it passes with a majority, but not unanimous. You guys are getting to be way too funny. So now we are on to Article 19.
I move to approve Article 19 as printed in the warrant.
Oh, that's an easy one. Get those shopping bags ready. I need a second.
Second.
Okay. Motion from, report from Finance and Advisory Board. Okay. You've got,
Doesn't have to be bad.
but it won't be plastic. Discussion.
We never came before us, so we didn't vote.
Okay. We understand that. Discussion. And if we don't have a lot of discussion on this one, I will be amazed. Discussion. If you don't bring your grocery bags to the store, you don't get your groceries.
Larry, do you want to try to In my opinion, Madam Moderator, this is absolutely something that government should not be involved in.
Yeah.
This is nanny-state to the nth degree. Private businesses should be allowed to use plastic bags or paper bags, whatever the consumer wants. True, they can be
They can litter the landscape, but let's just teach our kids to pick them up if they see them laying on the ground. Let's do that ourselves. This is not something that we need to be told that we can only use this type of bag, and we can use polystyrene, but not polypropylene or this or that. There's always a way around anything. It would be impossible. It would take 300 pages to properly legislate this. So let's not even go there. Let's let common sense prevail, and let's put social pressure. And if you don't want plastic bags, go to Crosby's, go to Market Basket and say, you know, we really feel strongly as a community that you shouldn't be using plastic bags. And if you can pressure them that way and have enough people walk in the door and say, you know, you're killing our town with these plastic bags, and they decide, you know, we're not going to have plastic bags in Georgetown, I think that's the way to do it rather than having, you know, a law or a resolution against it.
Thank you. Nobody at that microphone. Okay, next.
I use plastic bags in my dog's litter. I don't go to Newburyport because it's a pain to use the paper bags. I go to Raleigh, so Newburyport's losing business hand over foot. And I just don't want the businesses in Georgetown to lose money hand over foot. I'll make the same decision.
Okay.
Madam Moderator, Doug Dawes, Board Chairman. May I ask esteemed representatives and the senator, is there legislation pending in the state regarding single-use plastic bags?
Oh, you come to Georgetown, you get put on the spot.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. In response to the gentleman's question, we have debated this in the past as part of several pieces of environmental legislation. Even though it has passed in some forms in one branch or the other, it has not made it to the governor's desk for his signature or his denial. My understanding, and I have to check quickly, Doug, that there is usually at one time or another a piece of legislation pending relative to this subject. I'll do my best to try to get a precise answer right now.
Thank you. Now, my feeling on this is that the majority of the plastic bags, single-use plastic bags that come into this community come from other communities, other stores. There's not that many establishments here in town that have those bags. I think this is more of a feel-good type of notion. I believe that if we're going to discuss plastic bags, we should be discussing plastic and recycling. And I think that would be the greater good. I know in Newburyport, the gal who ran the initiative for the single-use bag up there has said that she wishes she had concentrated on educating the public on recycling. We're able to, it's free for us. If we bring it to the transfer station, it's $39 a quarter if you have curbside pickup. But this would be a greater good, not just banning a bag that all of us use to line our bathroom trash bags, trash containers with, and also there's folks who have pets that use it for that. So I just think that we'd be better off to just discuss recycling and not something that really we don't have any control over where these bags are coming from. And we have, what, 6 retailers maybe that might use these bags. It's not anything that will make any type of impact into the plastic problem.
We do have somebody at a microphone.
Yes, Tom Levine, 8 Rock Pond Ave. I agree with Mr. Bowles. Recently we did a town cleanup, and I walked a section of one of the main roads. Oh, yeah, there were plastic bags, not a great deal. There was a lot of plastic bottles, a lot of plastic alcohol bottles, a lot of things like that laid on the side of the road, plus some plastic bags. I agree plastic bags are an environmental issue, but it's not a major issue of pollution here. There's so many other things that are found along the roadside, and I live on one of the ponds in the waterways. There's cans, there's all kinds of things. I think Mr. Dawes has it right that a good recycling program would be some help, but a lot of it is people being transient, going through town, and just throwing things out their window.
Philip Conrad, 4 Rainbow Ridge Way, Georgetown. I'd like to disagree respectfully. I think that this is an opportunity for us as a community to take the lead. I do agree that we need to recycle more, but recycle, reuse, both of those are important things for us to do. Whether we have a large number of retailers or not, the retailers that we do have are already using non-single-use bags in their other stores. They're already used to this idea and be able to do it here in Georgetown very easily. Also, just because we're using these things for convenience, whether it's picking up our dog waste or lining our trash cans, doesn't mean that the plastic that we're using is any less problematic when it goes into our landfills or to the incinerator. The little bit that we could do as a community, we would begin to help other communities see the importance so that we could take a lead instead of being reactive to this situation. Thank you.
I firmly agree with the gentleman that just spoke. You know, the statement that we are too small to make a difference, I just highly disagree with. In every effort, you know, that has ever been, it all started somewhere, okay? And just because we're a small town, okay, that doesn't mean that we can't put forward a big effort, okay? Our children look at us, okay, as parents, as just people that they look up to, okay, to do the right things, okay? And for us not to put this as a major issue when we know that plastic bags are not environmentally friendly, to me makes no sense whatsoever, okay? We are a small town, but again, we can make a big difference. And I also disagree with the fact, I see plastic bags in trees, I see plastic bags on the sides of roads, and I also question what plastic bags, are we really not going to vote this because we have to pick up our dog's waste? Really? I mean, there are other ways that we can take care of that, okay? And if it means making our environment a little better, okay, a little bit of a, you know, at a time, and you start with yourself and that person in the mirror, okay, I think that's what we have to think about, okay? We have to think about how are we going to make a difference, how are we going to take the lead, okay, in our state. And I also want to make 2 points. Number one is government is not doing this, okay? Government's not stepping up in Georgetown to do this. We are proposing it to the people for the people to vote, okay? If this doesn't move forward, it is the people who want this. It is not the selectors, it's not the planning board, it's nobody, you know, in a town position, okay? I think that, in addition, when we say we're going to be taking the lead, there are, I believe the number, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there are 60 different towns across our state that have already approved this, okay? 73, thank you. I know, something around there. So, believe me, this is not, and out of those 73, by the way, I think there are probably plenty of towns our size, okay, plenty of towns that also took part in the fact that, you know what, we want to make our town and the rest of the area around us more environmentally safe. And then again, it starts with the person in the mirror. It doesn't start with anybody else.
Move the question.
I have a small aside. I teach classes in senior centers, and I work with about 100 women a week. And I've been asking all week before this came up. I said, do you have those, you know, reusable bags that you take groceries in? And almost all of them said yes. And I said, do you take them into the grocery store and use them? And they said, oh no, we forget them in the car all the time. We use the plastic ones. What would they think? Okay, I need, yes, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and I don't want to prolong the debate any further than is necessary. However, I do want to provide timely and accurate information from the legislative delegation. Certainly, this is not the question we expected to answer tonight. But at any rate, let me, for the edification of everyone here, there is currently a bill to ban single-use plastic bags. It is House 4234. It is currently before the House Committee on Ways and Means, having been reported favorably from another committee of relevant subject matter jurisdiction. If it is reported further from the House Committee on Ways and Means, it will have until the end of July, which is the end of our formal sessions, to be passed and enacted by the legislature.
Wow.
Moderator, there has been a request to move the question.
Yes, I have had a request to move the question. I need a second on that. Second. Who said move the question?
Nanette Hadley, 279 North Street.
Okay, who seconded? I need one name. Wayne. I need a 2/3 vote to move the question. All in favor? Opposed? 2/3 carries. We will move the question. The question requires a majority. All in favor of Article 19, the plastic bag ban. All in favor? Raise your voting slips. Opposed? I'm going to need my tellers to come in, please. This one is so close that I'm not going to call it. I'm going to have the tellers come in and count. So all of my tellers, will you please come in, count the areas that you have been assigned, and if Star Anderson would bring me the final tally.
This is our dividing line. There.
Are the tellers ready?
Yes. And I'm doing.
Okay, all in favor, please hold up your ballots and remain holding them up so that the tellers can count their areas, please.
Okay. Did you count yours? I got 17. Did someone get mine? So yeah, I got mine.
No, the guy who I got it.
Okay. Tellers. Have you counted all the positives?
Yes.
Okay. With all the pros, put that count down. Against, please raise your votes.
With the nose.
Oh, you didn't know.
And hold them up high so that they can be seen. Have the tellers finished counting all the votes?
Yes. Everybody ready? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Who's going to do the final tally, Kathy or Star?
I am.
Okay, Kathy's doing the final tally, and she will bring it up to me. Okay, we have a vote. Get out those multi-use bags. No, 61 votes. Yes, 106. That was a majority vote. 106 votes said yes, and 61 said no. So single-use bags, plastic bags, single-use plastic bags will not be used in Georgetown. And I'm not sure of the date. September 1st. September 1st, 2018. And there is a phase out within 12 months after September 1, 2018. Stock remaining at the end of said 12 months shall be disposed of properly by the establishment. Okay? So Article 20, styrofoam containers. Who's going to handle that?
I move to approve Article 20 as printed in the warrant.
Article 20 is styrofoam containers.
Second.
Do you have a second? Finance and Advisory Board. Does this give it to you at all? Okay, so discussion. Wasn't on our radar. Wasn't on your radar. This is similar to the other one. Disposable food service containers, expanded polystyrene.
I move the question.
That was a good try, but I do allow some discussion first. Mr. Epstein.
This whole article is based on at least one factual error. Expanded polystyrene is recyclable. It has been recyclable for decades. It has a recyclable symbol on its back that is accepted at the landfill. It is not necessarily what you think it is. Now you can feel good and tyrannize the merchants in town and prohibit them from using this. There are substitutes. However, before you're determined to do that, think long and hard about when your ox is going to be gored. Because we are coming up with zoning changes. Your ox may get gored, but at least that requires a 2/3 vote. This will require just a bare majority to say to the pizza shop, you can't serve me my salad in that container. It's got to be cardboard, or it's got to be some other plastic.
Any other discussion?
Route 58 Jewett Street.
Yes.
According to the transfer station, no styrofoam is recyclable in this town.
Okay, thank you. So that would include the polystyrene. Any other discussion? Yes.
While the caption reads styrofoam, the actual type of plastic that is being prohibited here is expanded polystyrene. I ask you to Google it. You will find that it is in fact recyclable.
Hey, I move the question. Second.
Okay, yes, sir. Repeat the last question.
5 Georgetown. Madam Moderator, fellow citizens of Georgetown, what is the world coming to? What are you doing to your rights? This silly micromanagement. Exactly, your ox is going to get gored next by a simple majority vote. This is so ridiculous. If you stop polystyrene, then what do they use at other places where you don't get polystyrene? You get polypropylene. You get low-density polyethylene, you get high-density polyethylene. It's going to come in some sort of plastic container, or else it's going to come in a paper container that's not post-consumer because you're putting food in it, so it's going to be coming from freshly knocked down trees and things. Just, if you don't want your food in a plastic container or a styrofoam container, then stop patronizing the places that serve styrofoam and say, I'm not coming back here until you decide to get rid of styrofoam. You're not, it's ridiculous to put this in the town code that, a guy can't give you, and look at the fines in there, what is it, like up to $300? If someone gives you a sandwich in a styrofoam container, you fine him $300? Can this be America?
Okay, I heard, move the question before that gentleman finished. So I need who said move the question?
David Crosby, 3 Robert Drive.
Who seconded it?
Joe Susi, 286 Central.
All right, so I have a motion and a second. I need a 2/3 to move the question. Who wants to move the question? Who does not want to move the question? We're going to move the question. Not unanimous, but we are moving the question. So now we're up to a majority vote. All in favor? Majority vote. All in favor? Opposed? That passes with a majority. Article 21. Gary Fowler.
I can't believe I'm doing this, but Madam Moderator, Gary Fowler. No new taxes. Madam Moderator, I, Gary Fowler, move to accept General Laws, Chapter 64N, Section 3, to impose an excise on the retail sales of marijuana for adult use at the rate of 3%. Nowhere in there did I say the word tax. Thank you.
I need a second.
Second.
Report from the Finance and Advisory Board. Did you get this one at all?
No.
Okay. Discussion. Discussion. Is there any discussion? Okay, it takes a majority vote. All in favor? Opposed? Passes by a majority. Article 22. David.
Just woke up from my nap, sorry. Move to change the, I make the motion that we move to change the town clerk position from elected to appointed in accordance with the provisions of general law, Chapter 41, Section 1B, provided, however, that in accordance with the law, such change must also be approved by the voters of the town at the 2019 annual town election.
Report from the Finance Committee? Oh, I'm sorry, I need
Second.
Thank you. Report from the Finance Committee. You didn't see this one either, okay. So the explanation of this is, this will be on the 2019 ballot, 1 year from now. And this August, the selectmen will appoint someone to fill Jay McGrain's unexpired term, who will have that position until the 2019 ballot. That's the way the law reads. Okay? Discussion.
First of all, I think that everybody in this room, and particularly the Board of Selectmen, owe Jan McGrain a great big thank you. She took over a clerk's office, which none of you except maybe Mr. Fowler and Mr. Dawes have a memory of how it was, and of course,
it looked like a bomb went off.
Our moderator, she brought order to chaos. She's been underpaid for all these years. And now, the wisdom of the town fathers, they want to appoint somebody. And I would like to know what they think the appointed person's annual salary should be.
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
It is absolutely not irrelevant, Mr. Service. You are asking us to make a change.
Steve, you should have brought up doing the budget if you thought it wasn't relevant. You're wasting everybody's time.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
I apologize.
Lower your voices.
I apologize.
More than one person can be asked to leave at a time. Lower your voices, please.
I apologize for responding directly to Mr. Service rather than through you.
Thank you.
But it is relevant to have on the record at a town meeting as to what is proposed the salary for an appointed person is going to be?
That will come up when it is budget discussion time. And that is not up to us.
You're asking us at this time to put a question on the ballot next spring without even knowing what the temporary, can I at least get an answer as to what the temporary town clerk is going to be receiving?
When that is decided,
It must be decided now, because somewhere buried in our budget is a line item for a clerk.
It'll be decided before August. Any other discussion?
Chris Root, Creative Street. If the town election in 2019...
You need to speak right into that microphone.
If the town election in 2019 does not approve the appointment and there is nobody on the ballot, then what happens?
Okay, that's a very good question. I cannot imagine that somebody would not run for a paid position in the town of Georgetown. Number one.
What happens to if somebody is elected and it becomes an appointed position, what happens then?
Oh, we're going to let town council handle this. This will be fun.
For you, Madam Moderator, response to the question. The person who, if the person was elected to the position, they would hold the position until the appointed person is sworn in and takes office. So it could be literally like a day or so.
That was easy. Jean.
Jean Nelson, 30 Searle Street. I'd like an explanation as to why this is being proposed. What's the rationale behind it?
The rationale is because that's how the law reads. It's a legality.
Why are we changing this, I mean, from an elected to an appointed?
Oh, why are you changing it from elected to appointed?
Yes.
If I could take a stab at it, Madam Moderator?
Sure.
We put this on the warrant because of Jan's resignation, basically, I think, at this time. At least that was my reason for moving it. I think I might have even motioned it. But in response to earlier Mr. Epstein's comments, the whole board may not, even though this is on the warrant, the whole board may not support this. And as far as going forward with pay, I believe we probably would enter into some type of negotiation. Hopefully it would stay, we would try to keep it within the budget confines of what we have going forward. But it's, you know, there's a resignation. I did do some homework. I asked Jan, has anybody ran against you? I believe her answer was in 20 years, nobody has ran against her. So there hasn't been a lot of competition. Jan has done an excellent job, and I would hope that that is the reason that nobody has ran against her. However, I find that hard to believe in a small town like Georgetown. But I can tell you, I am not in support of this. And it was difficult to come to this point for me. I mean, if you have a job that it does, it keeps getting more sophisticated as it goes along. And at some point, our government is probably changing in different ways. And so it's here for the townspeople to take a look at and make a decision on what they want to do going forward with their government. I did, at one meeting, ask that we get Jan in front of us so that she could perhaps give us reasons why she felt one way or the other, how this ought to go forward. But with the time being, that did not take place. So it is here before you for the townspeople to decide, what do you want to do going forward? Do you want to continue to elect your town clerk? I personally am going to support that. I'm going to vote no on this. Okay?
I would like to state my opinion that I do not feel that this should be an appointed position. I think it should remain as an elected position. I think we need some checks and balances with some appointees and some elected through the town election process. I've worked in several towns. I work in another town now, as I said before. I think there's a lot to be said for a very independent town clerk who isn't subject to the wills and the dictates of a board of selectmen. This appears to be right now a reasonable and knowledgeable and fair board of selectmen, but we don't know what will happen in the future, and this position is very responsible for voting lists and registrations and elections and tallies and reporting to the state, as well as the day-to-day operation of receiving filings and issuing birth, death, and all these other kinds of certificates. I do agree with you that this position, as time goes on, becomes more and more and more complicated because the state laws just keep requiring more and more and more stuff. So I would like to see this remain as an elected position. And thank you, Jan.
Okay, who's next?
Good evening, my name is Nick Waller, 18 Pillsbury Lane, and as an elected official, I'd like to thank Jan for the last 6 years, been extremely helpful and resourceful to me and to our board. So thank you, Jan, for your job. My question is how come there are two selectmen that are opposed to this? I'd like to hear the reasons why. Typically, on these town warrant articles, you see a 5-0 vote. This one's 3-2. I'm curious to what the two opposition votes have to say.
I think I gave you my opinion as best I can. Many times, believe it or not, I'm not positive how I'm going to vote until I get here. But there's a lot to look at on something like this. But tonight I am voting not in favor. I don't believe that this is the time that we need to go to this move. I like to keep our elected officials and continue to keep them elected and keep the small town politics out of as many of our positions that we have in town as we can.
As for me, we never really did hear from Jan, appear before the board and her thoughts on this, but my thoughts are that it should remain an elected position, that an elected official is held accountable to the electorate and not accountable to a board of 5 or a town administrator or a town manager. And I just think it should remain that way. And I'd also ask Jan to chime in on her thoughts on that position.
Did I hear you move the question?
Yes.
Oh, I heard move the question. So who said that?
Eric Stewart, 220 Central Street. Back up 35 Nelson Street.
That was the second?
35 Nelson Street.
What was your name again?
Matthew.
You moved it?
Yeah, I did. Eric Stewart moved it, 220 Central Street, Matthew. Second.
It requires the 2/3. Requires the 2/3 to move the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's 2/3. We're going to move the question. So, all in favor of Article 22 to see if the town will change the town clerk position from elected to appointed. It is a majority vote. All in favor? Opposed? Whoa.